Hi friends, I'm Rodon and I'm going to show how to run environment for OpenAbbey locally. That is to say, how to run the local copy of the project, the whole website on your own desktop. You see here at the project main page, there is a link to the page at GitHub where our code, etc. resides. The code itself is mainly in Python, HTML, etc. It's here in subfolder py. But now we won't speak much about code, but we rather see how to run it. Since it requires not only Python but some libraries and MySQL database, setting this all manually may be a bit too difficult, and also it will change your environment, and it's not what we really usually want. So we prefer, though you can do this manually, we prefer to use Docker tool, which creates small container. It's a kind of virtual machine. Let's start with it and I will tell a bit more about it. We switch to console. Here is Unix console. In Windows we really need something like git bash, though you may modify the files which I show. You may modify them to work in Windows too. We need to install Docker and check it works, you see, and also we need to download the project. If you use Git, you clone it. If you still don't use, but you will need anyway in future, you can now download it as a zip archive. Let's try. I choose to create some folder with name temp. Let us be saved here, and now I change directory to this newly created. Here is our archive. Really, we can instead use something like Midnight Commander to browse these folders, etc. But for now, let us look at this in the pure console. Here are folders Docker, where files for creating Docker image resides, and the py, which contains the code. Let us change to this Docker folder. You can see this also in the GitHub, these files. Let me show it here. You see several executable scripts. They are mostly single liners. For example, let us look at the first one. It simply executes Docker with some command to build image, and the image taken from the local subfolder. In Windows, you can remove this awkward part, for example, and make the path pointing at a local subfolder, at this one directly. This is going to work anyway. But now we are going to execute firstly the build image, and then whenever we need the server, run it with the second script. Let's start building. It will take some time. You see it downloads a Python base image, and then it will go downloading database upon it, etc., and install Python libraries also. Meanwhile, let us visit Docker homepage. Of course, sometimes this changed, but usually you can easily find what to download. For example, download for Windows, for Mac, and for Unix. Usually it's easy enough to find. Probably it can be even in the repository. Downloading and installing it isn't very hard. Usually it's a matter of clicking a few buttons. What we see here, it proceeds to installing the database. Probably you see also above that we download the various libraries for Python, and that's why we don't like to do this manually, because if we do this in your local Python, both Python version may change and the version of libraries which are used in your project. One of the ways to avoid it is using virtual envs in Python, but still the Docker provides easier way. It's almost ready, I believe. So one thing also to mention is that it downloads some amount of data. I believe about 150 megabytes. It's ready. Let us see with the Docker images command that we now have two images at least. One of them is base Python image. It is 90 megabytes, and the newly built local Abbey, we call it, is almost 400 megabytes, but these 90 are included. Docker images are created in such a way that all lower layers are included in the upper layers, so it's less or more economical. And also it's not the amount which was downloaded, because of course some was unpacked. Now we are ready to run this stuff, and this is done with the second script. I dare to remind, it's called local server. It first starts the database, then it starts the Python server, and it says us that we are ready to try it locally. I usually prefer local host address, which is almost the same. You see these things on right and left are appearing with some delay, because they are shown after the update stats request is sent, and it is sent time after time by some cyclical process inside the Docker image. Now all the requests we send also are shown here in the consoles. For example, we see that browser is requesting the PRG volume, and then PRG -1 task, etc. And any errors also may appear here. When we are we can log in here either using new user, or there is one predefined already, test user, and 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 password. No, I don't want it to be remembered. It also it may even work, though probably run on server won't work, because the copy do not include the proper key for third-party API which executes. But if we calculate the numbers manually, 6, 5, 4, well, 9, 1, I believe. We can try to submit it. Answer is corrected, etc. Some problems may lack the checker, and you can see such inscription, but we shall show how to deal with it with some next video, I believe. That's all for now. I invite you trying this even if you don't want to contribute, but rather is going just to have a small practice with Docker, etc. Instructions are repeated here, so good luck. I will glad to answer your questions if any. Thanks for watching so far. Just last thing, to stop the server, you just press Ctrl C. Well, and that's all. I believe the container is removed, but image is preserved. So rerunning it is again running local server.sh script. That's all, friends. Thanks and goodbye.